It won't let me go landscape. I mean, yeah, it won't. Hi, I know how to go live. I promise. I swear. I don't know why it basically gave me a message that said it was, that the orientation was locked. So I have to go vertical. I apologize. And I have a bit of a broken switch pod. So things are a little wonky today. Hi. I'll explain why I'm out and about today. I'm sitting here at a Starbucks. This is horrible. Oh, oi, oi. I'm doing live. I'm live messing around here. You guys are just along for the ride. I see Marco in the house. I see Bonnie. Grim, hello. Chris Lima in the house. Oh man, Cabo. I was wearing my Cabo Press shirt yesterday, actually. So hello, hello. Real life streaming challenges. I've got Abby with me, as you can see. We're in the cold. It's cold. It's so cold here. My hands are a little frozen. So hi. I have stories to share with you from all of my travels. Also today is open Q&A. So if you have questions, did my mic fall down too? Oh no, it's there. What is happening today? What is happening? NC Cowboy in Asheville, North Carolina, helping with the storm cleanup. That is amazing of you. I hope that is going well. I was just devastated to see all of everything with both hurricanes. So I hope everybody is safe. Okay, so two things today. I'll tell you exactly why we're mobile today. But I also want you to go ahead and start asking your questions. If you have questions, start them with a Q in front of your question to get that into my queue. But also, I want to share some stories and some lessons and some tips that I've learned along the way through all my travels. I've been basically going 50% of my time lately. So 1 week home, 1 week gone, 1 week home, 1 week gone. So it has been an intense schedule, and that schedule, the on-the-go schedule, is not going to change throughout the rest of this year likely. So it's going to be cray-cray around here. All really great stuff. I've been thoroughly enjoying the work that I've been doing, and it's been nice to just be like out doing a whole bunch of speaking, a whole bunch of learning, a whole bunch of networking, conversations, making new friends. So it's just been amazing time. Simon says, hello, hello, hello. I see Michael Short, Stewart video in the house. Everybody check in. Where are you watching from? Where are you watching from? I'm looking at your chat here. Okay, hold on, I've got to get myself situated. So I arrived right now, like literally just like enough time to order a coffee and sit down and set up improperly, apparently. I don't know why the orientation was locked at the beginning. That's driving me crazy in my head. Okay, questions are coming. So my nephew is in town, and he's around like 45 minutes away from me. So I booked it out this morning. I'm gonna go hiking with him after this. Abby and I are gonna go hiking with him after this. And so while he's here, and that's why I'm on the go. I shouldn't probably have done that, but I have a lot going on today. I've got to get her, she's going in for a spa day. She's got to get her nails trimmed. And also, I've got a whole bunch of like car maintenance stuff to do as well. So it's just going to be kind of a cray day, just like my schedule. So I'm just working it. I'm rolling with it, as we sometimes have to do. So I do see a bunch of questions coming through. I want to share one quick tip, two tips that really stood out for me in the last trip where I was out in Boston. Callie was there as well, and the last trip was for the Ecamm camp. I've got all kinds of tips and stories to share that I want to share via email. So if you're not on my email list, I'm going to be sending those tips and those lessons, some really good insights through all of my travels. Cabo Press, where was I before that? I don't even remember anymore. I don't even remember anymore where I've been. So this has been a lot. So if you're not on the email list, definitely join that so that you can hear some brilliant stuff that like have come from other people in these journeys. But two things that I wanted to share from last week because it's fresh on my brain. So Ecamm does these like excursions. So if you book a ticket to Ecamm camp next year, like you also get to do an excursion where you have a choice, chocolate and wine pairing, scavenger hunt. Callie and I, and two of our great friends, Jill and Kat, we all booked the ropes course. And I honestly was blown away by this ropes course. I went into it thinking, man, it's gonna be like super easy, right? Like you just like run across some logs up in the air, and I expected it to be the easiest thing ever. Boy, was I wrong. So it was more of a lesson, a team building kind of experience that I was not anticipating. And it was really interesting because it was literally you're walking on wires, cables, like a tiny ass cable up in the air. And you have a partner up there and you have to figure out how to get to the other side. You sometimes have ropes to guide you, to like help guide you, but then at one point you don't. And you have to figure out how to cross this thin rope, this thin wire cable, without any additional assistance from ropes. And Callie says, I didn't think it would be easy, but I thought it was going to be pretty simple and straightforward course. Me too. So, so then we get up there and, you know, we go into teams of two. They're like 10, like 8, I don't know. I didn't count, but there were a bunch of us. And so teams of two. And honestly, like as soon as they get up there, they're like wobbling up a storm, right? They're like crazy, like legs shaking. It looks intense. And Callie and I were teamed up, and of course, but it was not over 800. It was not over croc infested water. That's the good news. Was there? No. I love your comments. So what I took away from it was, you know, we watched this first couple go. Actually, Ken from Ecamm was in that first group, and they did make it. They made it all the way through, but it was really damn difficult. And they're shaking up a storm. The whole process was just intense. And then and this is all relating to your content, by the way, and to your entrepreneurial journey. I'm going to get there. But then we watched the second group go, and we kind of like as a team on the ground, up in the air, we're working through different solutions. Okay, that worked, but there's got to be an easier way. And so like we're coming up with these different solutions, different ways to cross the cables. And it was a group effort. One by one, some of them some of them never made it. Some of them tried really hard. One person a couple people fell off mid-course. And then that single person had to like try to make it all the way through. And really, I don't know that it's possible to make it as a single person up there. But anyway, Callie and I get our turn, and by this time, we've figured out what works and what doesn't, right? So like, by the failures of the previous groups, we've all as a group determined what is the wrong thing to do and what are right methods. What methods will actually get the job done, get you to the end goal. And through this process of elimination, through this process of experimentation, through this whole process, Callie and I get up there and we work it out, and we actually achieved the goal. It took us a while to get there, but we learned that you have to use your body weight against the ropes, and it was a really cool process. As soon as I get as soon as I get the video of it, I'll share that with you guys. But it was a really cool process to learn and grow and change and adjust kind of on the fly, right? So we're up in the air, we're making it work, but we have to figure out, like, we have to make on the fly adjustments. And we did it. We succeeded. We slapped high five in the air, you know, and then belayed back. But it was an incredible experience because the whole time, well, afterwards, the whole time I'm thinking, don't fall, don't fall. But afterwards, as I really kind of reflected on this experience, it really is relating to how you and I and we all go through this content journey as an entrepreneur. And it is by the failures. It is by the no's, this doesn't work, experiences that leads you to the positive end result of success. And so I just wanted to kind of tell you that story and remind you that it is important to fail. It is important to try things that just don't work, whether that's how you're creating content, whether that's in your business, making how you make money, right? All of these things we are going to fail at before we find the successful path. And so I just really wanted to share that with you, encourage you today to, as soon as I share that video, maybe it'll make a little bit more sense, but it is important to fail, and we know that, but we forget it, right? And I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people throughout this entire experience. Marco says, true words, most successful fail the most. Exactly. Jonathan, that's a great takeaway from it. Absolutely. I loved that experience. One of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was so, so, so cool to meet that challenge and to face fears, like you're up there and you feel like you're going to fall, even though you're strapped in and you're not going to like hurt yourself. You still don't want to fall. And that is the way our brains work. Like literally, I couldn't hurt myself if I tried because there's a team on the ground protecting me. But we are afraid of that failure. Anyway, that was really, really cool. Failure is necessary intellectually. French Pest says emotionally, we avoid it at all costs. Loved that experience. If you ever have a chance to do something like that, do it. The second thing I wanted to share with you actually comes from Kat Mulvihill. She was leading a session on content planning, and there's a whole lot that went into that. But there was one really important thing that she said at the end, and I'm coming to your questions, keep them coming, and then I'm gonna like rapid fire through them. Kat, at the end of her session, talked about, when you're looking at the tools that you use, like whether it's content planning tools like Trello or whatever, Notion or whatever you use to plan your content, or this can be about anything. This lesson that I'm about to share with you from Kat can be about anything. So I want you to take it to heart and run with it. And remember this. So when you are hitting friction, when you hit a stumbling block, and I don't know my hair is just wacky today. When you hit friction and you hit a stumbling block and you are like, this thing isn't working, it's one of three things, and you need to ask yourself in the moment which one of these it is. It could be logical, maybe the tool that you're using, the thing that you're trying to do isn't actually the right tool for the right job, right? So it could be logical, and so maybe when you're hitting friction, when things aren't working for you, you ask yourself, is this a logical problem? And I just am not using the right tool to get the success? Or is it a biological issue? Meaning your brain just doesn't work that way. So some people, let's take Notion for example. Some people, their brains just don't function in Notion or Trello or Asana or ClickUp or whatever. And it also may be just like your brain doesn't function to create your course this way or your content on YouTube this particular way. And you need to understand the way your brain operates, whether that's just purely your brain and the way it operates. Maybe you have ADHD, maybe you have some other thing that is a truth and a reality for how you need to operate. So it could be logical, the tool just isn't the right for the job. It could be biological, your brain just doesn't operate that way, so you need to make a change. Or, and this is the biggie, it could be psychological. And that is really where I see most people struggle. So when you are hitting friction, most of the time, it's actually a psychological issue. Your mindset. You're putting barriers up that don't need to exist. You're procrastinating because you X, Y, Z, right? And these are. This is what I deal with in our coaching, like our coaching students. I have this conversation with them constantly inside of our Entrepreneurs Video Club. And this is where I see most people struggle, is not a logical, because tools are tools and you don't need to find the perfect one because none of them are perfect. It could be biological. Your brain just doesn't operate that way, but most of the time it's psychological. And I thought it was a brilliant way that Kat put this, because it is a tool that you can use every time you hit friction. Ask yourself, is it logical? Is it biological? Or is it psychological? And your mindset needs to shift. You need to stop procrastinating and just take action, take imperfect action, right? So those are a couple of really cool things that I took away from last week. I've got a whole bunch of things to share with you from other trips like Cabo, and wherever I'm gonna have to remember where I was before that because I've been traveling so much. But I will be sharing all of that via email. I hope that that is super helpful to you as you go forward in your content and entrepreneurial journeys. Okay, we've got tons of questions, so share with me. Let me know if those were helpful. I want you to remember those. I want you to put those in your brain and in your back pocket for every time you hit friction. Okay, Graham up north. Apart from what you're streaming from, what is the make and model of the camera closest to you? Well, because I'm at Starbucks, I don't have another camera. So I'm using my phone for this stream. I've got the webcam. That's the only other camera that's around. But I usually use the Sony ZV-E10, as you know, in my studio. Susan, I need help figuring out how to set up software for my Logitech webcams, the ProCam 9000 and Brio. I have Capture, but it only detects the Brio. I don't have experience specifically with the ProCam 9000, but if you Google like the software for the ProCam 9000, you should find that. Logitech seems to. Do we have TJ from Logitech in the house by any chance? TJ from Logitech, are you around? If he is, he may be able to help you out in the chat room, but I'm kind of doubting because he lives out of state. But so my suggestion to you is to Google that specific cam and the software for it. There may be a different download that you need. Outside of that, make sure that you're maybe try a different cable. If that's the right software, you could try a different cable to see if it's a cable issue. But yeah. That was a Q, not an A. Sorry. Wait. I've been out of the loop for a long time, Michael Schroed says. What's the current status of your old accelerator program? So Accelerator shifted into Entrepreneurs Video Club. And so if you want more information about that, we have weekly coaching calls. And really, it's about personalized advice. So we take a look at things like your titles and your thumbnails. We take a look. Yesterday, we were just taking a look at somebody's, call to actions and how they're selling, and really getting past the psychological mindset issues of that, and providing very specific feedback about where you are and what you're doing and what you're putting out there. Camera presence. One of my favorite things to work with our students on is like, how are you showing up and how can we make adjustments so that it feels more authentic to you? Okay, next question, Bonnie. I'm diving into vMix for using my productions. Awesome. It does integrate with Zoom, right? prospective guests, very familiar with Zoom, so considering paying for the 1080p option. So the Kathleen, your tech coach, may have a better answer here. If it doesn't integrate in the same exact way as it does with Ecamm, that integration is different, but what you can do is push your feed through the virtual cam, or it's called on vMix. Oh boy, it's been so long since I used vMix. On vMix, it's called something else, but essentially it's the same thing, virtual cam, that sends your whole broadcast from vMix into Zoom. And so you'll be able to have your overlays and your camera switches and things like that inside of Zoom. If you're trying to bring guests into it, then, oh, vMix does have the direct Zoom option now too. I'm sorry. Okay, I was hoping that you would correct me if I was incorrect on that. Perfect. So you're good. You're good to go. Boom, done. Zoom and vMix fully integrated. Thank you so much, Kathleen. By the way, if you want a vMix course, I do partner with your tech coach, Kathleen, on vMix program and training. So if that is something that you would like a link to, we can absolutely get you that link. AG says, I'm waiting to hear if any of the alpacas spit on somebody. That was one of the other excursions at Ecamm, is the alpaca. That was my only other like of interest one. I was gonna, because I love animals, but like I was also like ropes course, like hard yes, like, so even that beat out the alpacas for me. Okay, so Susan, other comments are coming in for feedback and suggestions on your Brio or your Logitech issue. So check the chat if you're not reading that already. Simon says, any ideas what is driving the fast growth in YouTube views at the moment? Simon, I need you to give me a little bit more information on this question. So I'm going to let you kind of give me more feedback. I don't know if you're talking about your channel, if you're talking about in general. Can you direct me a little bit more on your question so I can answer you accurately? Family fun, any ideas on the best way to display Bible scriptures quickly? I don't have Pro Presenter. So you can do that a few different ways. One, Pro Presenter. One, you can do a keynote where you have Bible scripture. You could do a keynote presentation where you have Bible script, where you have the scriptures, created, and then you're sharing your screen, and that comes in as an overlay. So you could do it either of those ways. You could also, if you're using Ecamm or vMix, if you're pre-producing this, you could literally just throw those in text as an overlay on vMix or Ecamm. So that would be a super easy way to do it. And so you could, go into, if you need to do it on the fly, then integrating like a Google Doc or a Keynote or something where somebody else is throwing that in, and then it's just an overlay, a screen capture for the software to then see. So doing it on the fly easily. Ideally, you would have a second person helping you with that. Hopefully that makes sense. The Educated Homebuyer Podcast, what are your suggestions for streaming into a Facebook group now that StreamYard can't simply stream to a Facebook group after the API updates? Educated Homebuyer, I have videos specifically with tutorials on this topic, so I would highly suggest watching those videos. That will be your fastest path to success. But you absolutely can still stream from any software into a Facebook group. It's just a few extra steps, and you're using what's called RTMP, not API. So used to be what you could do is just an API connection, meaning in your software like StreamYard, and by the way, I did a whole video about StreamYard price hikes and alternatives to StreamYard if you're interested in that. That just released this last week. Yeah, so what you used to be able to do is just log in to Facebook through those softwares, and that's what's called the API. connection method. But now you need to use RTMP because Facebook wants to make live hard for whatever reason. No idea why. But I do have a video tutorial explaining exactly how, whether you're using, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Zoom, or just straight from software into a Facebook group. So hopefully that will help. Okay, next question, Sammy. I'm starting to live stream again. Woo woo. My schedule has been clearing up. Opposite of mine. The camera I'm using now is a bit heavier than last time. If it's a bit bigger, do you think camera mount or tripod? As long as the weight of it, like I'm always going to favor a mount, like the Manfrotto arms with a mount on a Varipole and or desk mount. I'm always going to favor that over a tripod just because of the space issue. Now that being said, if the weight doesn't match what the arm can handle, then you gotta go tripod. All right, what's this about PB&J tacos? What is PB&J tacos? Because that sounds amazing. I feel like I'm missing a whole conversation right now. Oh, John's in the house. John won Happiest Camper, which is so true. This contagious smile, beautiful person. And thank you for being here, John. I see a whole bunch of you from Ecamm Camp in here, so I love seeing y'all. But yes, oh, you got a kiss from an alpaca. That's so cute. That is so sweet. Okay, next question. Jonathan whispers, I'm using the Sony ZV-E10 streaming with some cheap lights in the back. Any idea why I get horizontal banding from the lights when set to 1080 but not 4K? Tried tweaking shutter speed. I'm stumped. So cheap lights can do that. So depending on which they are, where they came from, I have seen that happen, and shutter speed isn't always going to fix that. So I have seen it where like literally no setting on the camera can fix it. And so if you go too cheap, if you go too wrong with your purchase, I have seen it where there's nothing that you can do. I've been in that situation before. I tried everything and I just had to get better lights. I hate to say that, I really do, because most of the time there's a solution. But I would say if you've tried shutter speed, that's not working, just go into 4K. You could just go into 4K if it's not happening on 4K. You don't have to stream in 4K, but if that mode is getting the job done, then you could bring in 4K if your computer can handle it, and then just let it stream out in 1080. That's an option. And this is the kind of thing that we allow you guys to do inside of the Entrepreneurs Video Club, is like post a little video or a picture of what's happening. And then we as a community can rally and help you solve your problems like this. So that is an option as you guys are going through this stuff. If you need that tech support, if you need the support on mindset, if you need the support on content tweaks, titles, thumbnails to get better views, to get better results, then that is the kind of stuff that we talk about inside of Entrepreneurs Video Club, just so you guys know. And I never heard back from Simon on the fast growth in YouTube video views at the moment. I kind of feel like Simon was asking, kind of generally speaking, is like maybe there's some buzz about like, oh, so many views in like across YouTube. I don't know that that's the case for every industry, every channel, everybody. So that's why I was asking you for more information. John asks, I have a little shine on my nose and forehead. Is there a good makeup that works well? I have a Revlon translucent powder. Shine goes away after application, but comes back in 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah, so John, you want to use camera ready makeup. And so if you're gonna use powder, camera ready makeup is mostly important. So Smashbox is camera ready. I'm trying to think of another camera ready. I don't know of another, like, so Smashbox is kind of the one I've relied on over the years for camera ready makeup because it's matte, it doesn't shine, and it stays longer, but it doesn't feel heavy. Smashbox I'm a little frustrated with right now, so I am out looking for a new solution, because they keep changing their formulas, and I'm not as happy with them anymore, but they do work for the shine. The other thing that you can get is oil absorbent sheets. So you get these at Walmart, and they just they're just like little thin sheets that you tap onto your nose or wherever you're shiny, and they remove the oil from your skin to help with that shine. You can also look in to see if there's like a lighting issue, and maybe it's more light, like you can fix it by lighting, but definitely the oil in our skin is an issue regardless of your lighting, how well it is. I've seen those like through, yeah, exactly, like blue thin membrane type things for sure. Okay. Jonathan, yeah, so livestreamingpros.com/club for the Entrepreneurs Video Club. Thank you for asking. They dropped that link in the chat room. So, okay. You guys, I got a jet actually. Okay, one more question from Keisha. I ordered a 360 Link 2 and it's arriving today. Can you suggest how to best utilize it? Well, guess what? They sent me a couple of cameras. I have that has arrived while I was gone. So I have it in my hands. I will be using it over the next couple of weeks. And so I will be better. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. Mwah. I'm so sorry. This is booped her. I booped her with my coffee cup. So I will be better able to answer that. I have not actually unpackaged it and used it yet. But here's what I would say right off the bat. For most use cases, if you're at your desk, you are not going to use the AI features of like moving around and following you and tracking you. Please, for the love of Abby, do not do that. You don't want to upset her, do you? You don't want to upset this cute little face, right? So don't use the tracking if you're at your desk. Only use the tracking if you are like doing yoga or moving around, doing whiteboard stuff where you are moving physically around and it needs to track you. Otherwise, it's a terrible viewer experience. So those features go off, okay? Are we on the same page? Outside of that, I will be sure to wrap around. I'm gonna be creating content with it, using it over the next few weeks. So look for some more information on that in November. Okay, I gotta pick up Loki, my nephew, go for a hike. It's freezing and I don't have my gloves, so I'm going to make it a short probably. And then she's got her nail appointment. So we've got a lot going on today. It's just one of those days, and I will be I'm going to be inconsistent with videos throughout the rest of this year, just heads up, because of my schedule, but I'm going to be as consistent as I humanly possibly can be. That is my promise to you. I'm going to do my best, but also just know that I'm probably going to be a little inconsistent until the end of the year. I love you all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you did not hear the 2 lessons I shared at the beginning of this, then go back and watch the replay. Thank you all for, like, all of you who who joined from Ecamm Camp and are hanging out with us today. Come back every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific. All right, bye. Say bye. Bye.